Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Today I'm going to be working on my show trees, getting them ready for the two fall shows coming up. The Kitchener-Waterloo Bonsai Society's fall show coming up this Saturday, and then in 2 weeks the Toronto Bonsai Society's fall show and sale. So I'll be getting the trees prepped, mossed up, looking good, tidied up. Before I start the work on the trees, I thought I would show you my Powderpuff tree. It has a beautiful flower on it, so I'll show you a close-up of that. Here is a look at the flower. It is a beautiful looking flower. Maybe the best flowers ever, I think. Yeah, just wonderful. So since I last pruned this tree, it hasn't put a lot of growth, but it's pushed a lot of flower buds. There's flower buds pretty well at the tip of every branch. So I'm not going to put this in the show. It's not developed enough yet. If it were all in flower, maybe, just for the flowers, but I think I've got this flower out. That'll last a day or two. I've got another cluster coming here, one here. So I don't think it'll be in flower for the show. So that's why I'm showing you the flower now, just because, yeah, they don't last long, but they sure look beautiful. The first tree I'll be working on is my Dwarf Schefflera. This is going in the Toronto show. I don't want to put the same trees in the Kitchener show as I do in the Toronto show, so I'm having separate trees for each show. So I need to find a stand for this tree, an accent plant. If I wanted to get fancy, I could get a scroll to hang above the tree. I need to weed it, make sure the moss is looking good. Any leaves that are getting large, I'll need to pick those off. And just maybe tidy up the trunks. There's a bit of algae under some of the trunks, so I'll give those a scrub with soap and water. So there's a lot of prep that goes into getting a tree in tip-top shape for a show. When I repotted this tree, I used the pot that my Chinese village penjing was in. And there's a stand that fits it really nicely, so I'm going to try that out and see how it looks. So I'll get the stand and we'll try it out. Here is a look at the stand. So it's a beautiful stand. You can see the detail, the square pegs there. And then the top is a lighter color. Yeah, it's a beautiful stand. I hope the tree looks good on this stand. So let's try it out. I'm going to put the tree on the stand now. So when you're putting trees on a stand, you have to be careful to position the pot and just gently drop it down on the stand. You don't want to be sliding your pot around because it'll scratch the surface of the wood. And some of the stands are very highly polished and the scratches really show up. So you can ruin a stand by moving a tree around on it. So here I go. So I'll get the tree and I'll position it, I think, somewhere about here. And then just gently drop it down. So I want to check, make sure I've got even gaps all the way around, so I could move it over just a bit. And back a bit. Somewhere about there is quite close. So let me step back and have a look at it. Here's a look at the tree on the stand. So I think the size is really, really good. It's maybe a little heavy looking for the tree. It's, the pot is this thickness and then the stand is thicker. I think if the stand was thinner than the pot, it would look better. However, I don't think I have a better stand for this tree. I'll look, but I don't think I have anything better. The light color of the top, I think it highlights the pot nicely, but maybe it makes it look too busy because I have so many. I've got this color, this color, this color, the moss, the trunk. It's a lot. So it's definitely not the perfect stand for this tree. I'll try. I bought that black one off Chris Hendry that I showed the Sarissa in last year. I'll try that one out. Here is a look at the tree on the darker stand. And already I think this looks much better. At the Toronto show, the tablecloths are black, so this gives you a good idea of what it will look like on the table at the show. And it's important. If it was a white tablecloth, you may want to pick a different stand. The black stand on the white tablecloth might stand out too much. So you kind of have to be careful to know what the display is going to look like at the show. So I like this. The stand is thinner than the pot. The dark stand brings out the color of the pot and the tree. It kind of highlights the pot and the tree, and the stand is a little bit less noticeable, but it's still there. So I think that's the best stand I have for this tree. So that's what it'll go into the show with. I could move the tree back a little bit. You can see the little corners here, the indentation in the stand. Let me just try moving it back a bit. So next, I need to pick out an accent plant to go with the tree. And the accent plant usually denotes the season or the location that the parent tree comes from. So if it's a fall show, your accent plant might be something that has beautiful fall colors. It could be a plant. It doesn't have to be a tree. It can be a plant representative of the area the tree naturally grows in. So this is a tropical tree. So a fall show doesn't really mean much with a tropical tree because they generally stay in leaf for the whole year. There usually is a dry season and a wet season, but other than that, they generally stay in leaf. So I need to find an accent plant that would somehow complement the tree. And this tree is very twisty. All the branches have movement and curves to them. So maybe an accent plant that echoes that, or maybe the opposite. Maybe your accent plant is vertical grasses so you have the curviness of the tree and the straightness of the accent plant. You can go opposites or similar. So I need to find something. It could be a little statue, it could be a little Buddha monk or something. Something that goes with this tree. So I'll have to use my imagination and come up with something. I found a little stand here. It fits the tree okay. It's not too bad. It's a little light in color, but it's not bad. It kind of matches the color on the wood here. I think that's the best I'll find. I think that'll be my accent plant. And I think it'll go on this side of the tree. You can see the planting. It's planted to the left-hand side because it's off. It's asymmetrical. There's more mass on the right-hand side of the tree. So I think the accent plant kind of completes the imaginary dome shape here. It kind of comes down to about the right height. It actually complements the tree. Yeah, so I think that's it. I think that's a pretty good display for the tree. 2 tropical trees. Yeah. So that will be it. That will be my display. I don't think I need a scroll or anything. Yeah. I'd have to make one, and I don't think I'll get time. So I think this will be it. Kind of a 2-point display, something like this, and I think that'll look quite nice. The leaves on the Ficus religiosa are just coming out now, and they're very small. I'm not sure what they'll look like by showtime, but I think it'll still look quite good. My next step for the show prep is to prune the moss down. I planted this like over a month ago, so it looks established when it comes showtime, but it's getting a little puffy. It's getting a little high in areas, so I need to scissor prune it back down. So when showtime comes around, it's at about the right height. So I'll do that next. From this angle, you can see how high the moss is. So I've got these curved scissors. I think these scissors are used for removing bandages, for medical scissors. I get them at the surplus store. So I just come in and I prune the moss down. And you don't want to prune it too far. You don't want it looking brown, but you definitely want to prune it back as far as you can and still keep it green. And it doesn't hurt the moss at all. It just grows right back in again. And you don't want any moss overhanging the lip of the pot. So I'll prune it back from there too. And just reduce the height. And you can use a little brush to brush the moss away. The stuff that you've pruned. Like that. You can prune some areas down shorter than others to provide a bit of variation. This moss is planted here to look like basically grass underneath the tree. If this tree were in a park or something. So it's not designed to look like natural ground story under a wild tree. More like, well, usually these banyan trees are set aside as special trees and they're planted in parks and special places. So it's usually a nice layer of grass underneath them. So when I'm doing this pruning, I take the scissors and I push down, then clip. And that way you're not lifting moss out. It kind of pushes it down as you're cutting, so there's no danger of pulling clumps of moss out. Oh, here comes Kitty. He's come in the greenhouse. What a surprise. Now, Kitty, you know you're not allowed in the greenhouse, right? You know that, right? How many times have I kicked you out of here? Every day, yes. Every day, and you keep trying. You want to be petted, I guess. That's what my guess is. Oh, we'll give you a little massage here, eh? How's that? Yeah, that's pretty good, eh? That'll deter you from coming into the greenhouse. Every time you come in here, you get petted. Yeah, isn't that a terrible thing? Yeah. Yes, it's terrible. Okay, now I gotta kick you out. Say goodbye. Bye-bye, YouTube. I'm going out. Here's a look at the moss pruned up. So you can see it's much more short. Everything's weeded. It's looking quite nice. Yeah, and if it gets too long before the show, I may have to do this once again. Up top in the canopy, there's my leaf petioles where I leaf pruned it. They're turning yellow and falling off. So any ones you notice that are yellow and ready to fall off, you can just pick them out so they don't fall on your landscape. So that's one thing you can keep an eye out for. And also, any leaves that are growing really large, I prune off. So let's rotate around the back. So here's some leaf petioles that are just ready to fall off. And they go yellow when they're ready to fall off. Yeah, so any large leaves, my goal is to have the leaf size fairly consistent over the whole tree. So you can see at the moment there's quite a different variety. There's small leaves, bigger ones, some bigger still. So any of the big leaves, I just prune away. And that kind of zaps the vigor out of that branch. Oh, there's another leaf petiole ready to fall here. Yeah, so you just got to keep an eye on it. Like here's a big leaf here. That's too big. This one's too big. This one's a little big, but I'm going to leave it until something else develops there. There's one out the back here that's way too big. There's one down here I could prune away. Like that. Yeah, so that's an ongoing process. Pruning away the larger leaves so they kind of all grow in consistently with an even vigor over the whole tree. The tree is in the sunshine now, so I'll just rotate it around and show you what it's looking like. So here's the front. Coming around to the right-hand side. To the back. To the left-hand side. And back to the front. One thing that I almost forgot, I thought I better water the tree, and then I thought, oh, I wanted to clean up the trunks, scrub them with the soap and water. So I'll water the tree first. So here I go. Give it a good thorough water because it's a sunny day and the tree will use this water. Yeah, the moss looks quite a bit nicer, shorter like that. It's less lumpy looking. So I'm just kind of soaking the trunks here. So when I scrub it with the toothbrush, the algae will be a little softer and it'll come off more easily. Okay, that should do it. And I have a spray bottle down here that I can kind of soap and rinse at the same time. So I've got one spray bottle with soap in it, and then I can rinse it with the other one. So I've got my toothbrush here, and I'll just start to spray sections of the trunk and just scrub it. It's mostly the underside that has a bit of algae. But anywhere where you see it, where it's discolored a bit, you can give it a scrub, and that way the trunks will look brighter at the show. Bright and clean. It always makes them look nicer. Just be careful of your leaves. Okay, so that's soaked and scrubbed, so now I'll just rinse it with the rainwater. Yeah, that's looking better. And if you need to get in really tight spaces, you can use a little bottle brush to get between branches if you have to. The toothbrush will do most of the work, I find. So all these little things I showed you today, techniques, by themselves, each technique isn't really that noticeable. But when you see a tree that is prepared well at a show, it just stands out as being really nice. You know, the trunks are clean, the moss is pruned up, the leaves are tidied up, everything's looking good on the tree. And it makes a difference between a show tree that's just looks spectacular versus one that looks okay. So it's quite important. Yeah, it can make a big difference. Yeah, it's much, much nicer now. Really brightening up the trunk. Here's a close-up of the trunks. So you can see the ones that are scrubbed. They're really clean looking. Versus maybe this one down here, which still has a lot of kind of green and almost black areas on it. Yeah, it makes a big difference cleaning the trunks up. So that is a look at the ongoing work of getting my Dwarf Schefflera ready for the Toronto Bonsai Society's show and sale. I think by showtime it should look quite nice. I think the canopy will be at a nice level where you can still see all the branch structure, but it still looks full enough that it's come out into leaf. If it gets too dense up top, it hides all the structure of the tree. So you kind of want that, that perfect balance. And that goes with any tree, like Japanese maples or anything. They always look good in spring when it makes that transition from just the bare tree structure and it starts filling out with foliage, and there's kind of a magic spot where you have just enough foliage that the tree looks in leaf and not so dense that you can't see the structure of the tree. It's kind of a sweet spot, and that's what I'm hoping to get for the Toronto show with this tree. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.